welcome back for the last time today, and actually for the next 3 days as well. This is the very last match of Starladder Season 8, Day 23, and starting tomorrow we will be on a 3-day hiatus for that Christmas break, and then we will be coming back this Friday for coverage to resume with Day 24 of the round robin. Here we do have Virtus Pro and Sigma International as our final matchup for the day. I am Zyori, joined once again by none other than Hippie. And we've got another good one for you here. And looking at the standings, very important at this point as we're getting towards the end of the round robin. Sigma 9-3 right now, and of course Virtus Pro, as we discussed earlier, 9-7. So they've had a good run, but unfortunately for VP, this is their last match, and it's looking very grim for them to make it into the top 4. Not grim, impossible. I will be that bold. Sigma, they need this one, 9-3. They want to secure a prominent spot here, and I think they have what it takes to shut down Virtus Pro, but we'll see here, Hippie. First pick, Venomancer. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. And Sigma, they always have the chance to shut someone down. I mean, they're very, very solid. They can have some very interesting drafts that come out. Of course, they do have Fada drafting, which is, I think they've been doing that a lot recently, but I also think that previously, didn't they have Bucky Mad, or am I completely crazy?
No, Mad has definitely
I think he's drafted for them at times.
I think they go, I think they're one of those
teams
back and
that, forth.
Yeah, the guy that clicks the button isn't really that big of a deal, sort of. Yeah, he clicked it, but I think it's a team effort on their front. If I remember correctly from what I've talked to, with the little we talked to Mad, but yes, they've definitely rotated drafters a bit.
10 seconds remaining.
And there's the Bristleback once again. So 3 games in a row, we're going to see the Bristleback. Very, very successful in the first one, not so much in the second one. Wonder which way Virtus Pro will go. Maybe they'll be the deciding factor of whether or not Bristlegod will be serious business today.
And VP are one of the few teams right now that really seem to value the Venomancer. Ever since he was rebalanced, brought down to earth where he should be in 6.79C, we've seen a big fall off in Venomancer picks, and for good reason. You know, now he's just a regular support, not a Gosu insane, hey, look at this guy, his wards are better than regular wards, kind of, at nighttime. Most teams don't
better than Hero.
Really like Veno. Yeah. The vision was insane.
So they were pretty fantastic. Like 1200 vision on that skill.
I was going to say 1400. 1200 is ridiculous. At nighttime...
1200 as opposed to like the 1800 ward vision, but yeah, at nighttime, oh my god, it was great.
It's insane. It's better because, you know what? They're not on a cooldown, man. You just keep throwing them down. You got wards all over.
They don't cost you 150 gold.
They don't cost any gold. So I'm going to go ahead and say they were better than regular wards to some degree. I don't know. But most teams really don't care about the Veno that much. Most teams are sort of seldom to even ban him out these days because he's not that big of a threat. And Virtus Pro, though they were successful with him earlier today, we did see VP play against rox.kis, and they did defeat rox.kis with JOTM's Venomancer. So a team that can do it for sure, but interesting. Maybe just a bit of personal preference. Hard to say. But Sigma with a pretty well-rounded opener as well. Crystal Maiden Clockwork. Nothing too crazy.
How sad are you that Dazzle just got banned?
Well, it's mixed feelings. I'm sad that he's not going to be in this game, but I'm happy that he's getting some love. I'm happy that someone is scared of Dazzle, if that makes sense. The fact that Sigma are saying, you know what, Dazzle, you're good enough that we don't want to... Let's just ban you out. Let's call it even here. That makes me feel pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the amount of love Dazzle has gotten recently. And we've seen some pretty interesting strategies that revolve around the Shadow Priest, as Bulba kept calling him, because we did get to actually see a Dazzle in Game 3 today when you stepped out. So
I did see that.
Yeah.
I saw the tail end of that game. How about that Ancient Apparition? You think we're going to see that again coming out from VP, or do you think that was a one-and-done sort of thing?
Now, that is a good question. I'm tempted...
He was devastating.
I'm tempted to believe that was more of an effort to deal with the Slark, more so than Virtus Pro really wanting to run an Ancient Apparition in a vacuum, because, as we've talked about, Slark, although undetectable and immune to single targets, is still very susceptible to AoE-based abilities, so Ancient Apparition does bring a pretty good skill set to the table to try and deal with that wannabe Murloc. But if they don't draft Slark here, I'm going to say nay. I think Virtus Pro will be averse to just grabbing an AA just for the fun of it. But I'm more excited about this Wisp third pick from Sigma. Oh boy, is this going to be another Ursa game here? What are they going to grab?
I will say that in my somewhat semi-serious experience, it's going to be a tiny. Well, never mind. That invalidates everything I was about to say. I was going to say... Wisp Ricky works really well when you have a Clockwork and you can just cog someone and then drop a Ricky in and drop a Smoke Cloud. But it works pretty equally well with Tiny because you drop a Tiny and they immediately get Tiny combo. They have the spirits all over them. It's pretty devastating. Clockwork in general, very, very good with Wisp. I feel like because you can just drop your big melee carry right in the middle of the cogs, beat them up, and then leave when the response comes.
Yeah, but Tiny and Wisp is that classic duo. One of the first, well, maybe not one of the first, but definitely one of the classic Wisp combos. And we just saw Fnatic be successful with it the other day. It does require a little bit of farm, a little bit of slow going, but yeah, Tiny can definitely play that hard carry role just fine. Virtus.pro will grab an Earthshaker, kind of an interesting choice here as their second support. I mean, never a bad choice really, but I'm trying to see how he fits into their roster. Like, what are they going for with this draft? Virtus.pro has 4 very individually potent heroes, but is the synergy there? That's what I'm not really seeing. Right now, Earthshaker is their only bit of crowd control. I mean, Weaver very elusive, but no stuns. Bristleback obviously no stuns. They've got a good bit of slow, but what? I mean, what are they going for here?
Well, I mean, in general, my go-to thing, if you need a mid that provides a lot of control, my go-to would be Puck. You know, he gives you some good AoE, some good initiation to follow things up with, and VP's going to ban the Puck, actually. So, I don't know, maybe they want to go for more of a pick-off-oriented lineup, and there's an OD. So the Storm Spirit I was going to suggest is just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be suicide to pick a Storm Spirit into an OD at this point. I don't know, if they want something to deal specifically with the OD, they could get a Kunkka. They could get themselves a Razor if they wanted to, but I don't know, man. There's some lot of options, but I think none of them amazing.
Yeah, and against OD, you don't have too many options. There are very few heroes that really no one shuts him down, but Viper is an okay choice. Kunkka, as you mentioned, Razor is still in the pool, that classic OD counter. They do have some options, but Sigma with a pretty well-rounded draft here. It's going to be a little bit rough. And now if they grab basically any of those heroes, I mean, Razor, yeah, he might counter the OD, but doesn't help their lack of sort of teamfight synergy. And I think they're just going to get run over if they go with that. They need somebody staple in the mid. Dragon Knight might not be a bad choice here. Would give them an additional stun, a hero that can fare pretty well against the OD. I think that could be an okay choice. Would give them a pretty tanky lineup, although no int. No matter what they pick here, this is a weird draft from Virtus.pro, I think.
I think so. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I mean, they have really good chasers. They have pretty strong slow. They have the Earthshaker to kind of cut people off during team fights, so they only have to fight a portion.
Wow,
what?
It will be the Storm Spirit. They're feeling very brave here.
Why would you? What?
Maybe,
I don't know, man.
No,
Maybe
it is
they
going to be
think they can get away with it. If they can get away with it, he'll be really good to go with the rest of the team. He'll be able to zip around and put a lot of pressure on. He'll be able to help, again, you know, start off these fights. And it is definitely a pick-off-based sort of thing. They don't have an amazing team fight, except for, actually, all right, I'm a filthy liar. I mean, Venomancer, Earthshaker. Why am I even... Like, Venom Earthshaker is pretty devastating just on its own.
It does a lot of damage, but I don't know. I just worry.
It doesn't have a lot of control, but, you know, when you have people like Weaver and Storm, it's more about preventing the enemy from controlling you than it is about locking them down, because the Weaver and the Storm can chase people everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
Same with Bristleback. He can chase forever.
So it looks like they are going to switch things up here. Virtus.pro going to put Bristleback in the solo mid, going to be played by Illidan. They will do a 2-1-2. God on the Storm Spirit going up top will be supported by Arzart here, playing on the Venomancer. And that means the two in the bottom, JOTM on Earthshaker and Light of Heaven, going to be on the Weaver. So very interesting lanes here. I do like the choice to switch it up a bit and put anyone besides Storm in the mid lane. The question is, how will Bristleback do against OD? That is not a mid matchup I have seen, and I don't think we've seen it yet in Starladder Season 8, which is kind of interesting here. I'm kind of curious. I mean, he's strength, so obviously that int steal isn't crazy bad against him, but I think this Bristleback is going to have his work cut out for him.
I think so too, just because his damage won't be high enough to keep up.
Yeah.
And it looks like maybe they're rotating again. I don't know. Is Illidan so Illidan's going back to block, but where is JOTM going to end up? And where's Smile going to end up? Quite frankly.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Looks like
just passing the ward.
Yep, looks like it will be the lanes that we initially talked about. Venomancer actually going to grab an Illusion Rune here at the 0-0 mark, and we'll head top with it. So on our Radiant side, we do have Team Sigma International. Going to have Sachka playing on the Tiny down here in the bottom lane. He'll be joined by Pos, who is on the Wisp, a.k.a. Io. Mad going to be supporting on the Crystal Maiden here. Will be in the Radiant jungle. That is OD in the mid, being played by Fada. And up top, it will be Miggle, playing a little bit of off-lane Clockwork. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, Sigma's side, pretty straightforward, rather predictable, I'd say. But the draft from Virtus Pro a little interesting, because they have this duo lane down here in the bottom, and I don't know how well that they're going to fare against this kind of tri-lane of Sigma. Of course, CM going to be in the jungle quite a bit, but even though Weaver is pretty mobile and sort of hard to lock down, they've got plenty of stuns, and they've got plenty of damage as well. If they catch Weaver out, if they put down a sentry, if they catch him without a Shikuchi, they're going to have more than enough damage to finish him off. Meanwhile, on the top lane, though, Miggle in a little bit of trouble. The Gale will connect. That's slow, very potent, but he will make it back to the tower and does survive. So, we'll see. We'll see for sure. I still think VP just don't have the strongest lanes, though.
Oh, no, I agree with you completely. I think Illidan in the mid is going to have so much trouble, especially once level 2 Astral comes up on OD, and he starts getting the bigger damage buffs. There's just no way he's going to be able to contest. And look, he burns off three quills, and he's immediately out of mana. Right. Because of the drain. Although he's getting a lot of damage done with the quills. Vada just kind of letting them stack up. He's got 3 quill stacks on him right now. And so Illidan doing a little better than I would have expected. Not going to lie. I kind of thought this was just going to be him getting crushed. The bottle, of course, is very helpful because his quill spray is very, very cheap. He'll always be able to get off 1 or 2 sprays, even when he's int drained. But, I really do think as the int drain gets higher, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Generally what happens when you're up against an OD.
Yeah, and OD is a hero that doesn't really like to grab bottle first if he can get away with it. And I think this is a game where he can get away without having a bottle if he grabs an early magic stick. I think that's going to be crucial to Fada having an easy time in the mid because it's Bristleback. He's going to be spamming those quills pretty much as he can, even without a large mana pool. And I think a magic wand would go a long way for this OD. But we'll see what he wants to grab. A bottle might not be a bad choice here just to deal with some of that harassment of Bristleback, though may be overkill as well. But you're certainly right. Bristle doing much better than I thought he would have. He is 9-0 against the 9-4 OD. Haste Rune on. And Illidan looking like he wants to pursue into the tower, but won't do it. And I think that is definitely the smart play. Up in the top lane here, Clockwork doing pretty well. He is sitting level 3, so he is getting pretty solid experience. Light of Heaven going to move into the jungle. He will engage on Mad. Wisp comes in, does have the spirits ready. Going to do just a little bit of damage to Light of Heaven. Weaver sitting 7-0, not really getting the best farm here, and Tiny is doing pretty solid himself. He is sitting 11-6. And this is the kind of stuff that I worry about, where Tiny getting much better farm than this Weaver, and Light of Heaven spending a lot of time in the jungle. I mean, he is distracting the supports, but at a pretty grave cost, I'd say. He's spending a lot of time here not farming.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really relying on him as their position 1 carry, but at the same time, you definitely are going to want him to get a good start. And leaving the Tiny kind of unharassed, unpressured, letting the supports hang out in the jungle, I mean, stealing their XP, I really feel like isn't worth giving up everything you could be getting in lane and letting them have that jungle XP. Because if you're there putting pressure on Tiny, they need to commit at least some amount of their resources, some amount of their time to stopping you from zoning out the Tiny.
Yeah.
Whereas, otherwise they're just hanging out in the jungle and you get 1/3 of the experience and they get 2/3 and whoop-de-doo, now you have 2 supports who are ahead of you.
Yeah, and this is where things start to get scary. If they look at that last hit chart, Miggle in the top lane is 7-0, Weaver is 8-0. And I mean, they are off-lane counterparts, but there is a duo lane down here. So JOTM here, they do pull creeps into the Ancients, so at least JOTM going to get a little bit of farm. It's a cheeky play there. But is it going to be enough? Let's take a look at the graph and see if it reflects kind of my cynicism here. And a small gold lead, even smaller experience lead for Sigma. So very minor. But they are off to a good start. Going to glance at the levels. And pretty even as well. 3-3 and 2-2 across the support. So very, very even. Miggle up top is going to get a rotation from Mad. They may try and make something happen. Battery Assault going to be used. It is level 2. The Gale comes out. God going to be in big trouble here, though. Cogs are going to come down. He's stuck inside. Crystal Maiden out. Doing a lot of damage. Miggle is going to be the first to fall. Maybe I was wrong. They're going to turn this around. Now Mad in big trouble. God wants to man up here. There's the Frostbite. That'll be enough to make it a 1-for-1. Well played by Mad. Does he have a port? No, doesn't have the mana for it anyhow. Arzart should be able to clean this up, I think. Poison Sting, certainly going to be enough. Down goes the CM. So a 1-for-2 up in the top lane. Obviously, Virtus Pro get the better of it, but at least they do kill that position 1 Storm.
Yeah, but at the same time, he had just picked up the first blood. He got that experience off the Clockwork, who's, of course, reasonable amount of XP right there. So I think you can definitely in VP's favor. And that Storm, I mean, they're giving him such farm priority. You know he has to have a serious impact in the mid game. So, I mean, maybe they want to use him to just pick off the Wisp. Maybe they want to use him to try and pressure the Tiny. But it's just, I don't know, man. They can try to pressure the OD with him, but with good banishes, it'll be kind of hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, just getting the storms in, like, if you get a banish on the storm when he goes in, and so he just no longer has mana to actually combo you after he zips in, then it gets really, really dangerous.
Yeah, that's very
then
true.
Then he can't zip back out, etc.
Venomancer almost in a little bit of trouble there, but we'll throw a ward down. Miggle looking to be aggressive here once again. Did miss a kill in the mid lane while I'm looking at this exchange, though. We'll catch this one. Miggle gets the electric vortex towards the tower, though he's going to be able to make it back. Now in the mid, I totally missed it, but it looks like OD just had a total solo kill. And although Bristleback's been farming reasonably well in terms of last hits, it doesn't do anything against Sanity's Eclipse when you have a couple of int steals. And, well, based on the cooldown there, it looks like it was a pretty easy kill for Fada. Did you happen to catch it?
No, but I did catch that the Bristleback was listed as having 27 minus 26 intelligence when he rezzed.
Yeah.
So I think we can understand a little bit of what just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too hard to deduce, but that is great news for OD because it was pretty even until that kill. They were farming on par with one another. In terms of last hits, 32 and 18, 24 and 1 Bristleback. Of course, some of that's a little bit inflated now that OD's been solo here for the past 20 seconds or so, but all in all, Bristle's been holding his own. Tiny is going to go for a Midas. This is something I was curious about. What build is Sachka going to go for? And he's going to go for this hard farming Tiny build with a Midas first. Of course, we'll transition into an Ags, but it means that it's going to slow down that early game presence. And up top, Miguel going to get caught. He will fall. God now going to be level 6, so setting up a gank on this Storm Spirit going to be much more difficult. And Clockwork's life going to be a lot worse as well up here now that he's Ball Lightning.
Decidedly so. I mean, Clock is reasonably okay against Ball Lightning compared to some people because the if Storm's trying to do a lot of zips around you and you drop the cogs and he gets caught on the wrong side, not only of course does he take the push and get disabled just for that second during the push, but losing a little bit of that mana can really screw over Storm Spirit in the early game when he has to play very, very carefully, know basically exactly how much mana he's going to need for each zip. Screwing off those calculations can really, really mess with a Storm player who's trying to, you know, work with just barely the mana he has before he's that farmed.
Yeah, that's true. And here in the mid lane, Illidan's starting to get zoned out a little bit. Fada just waiting patiently for that ult to come off cooldown. In the bottom, Light of Heaven taking a lot of damage. This Weaver really not getting a lot. 24 and 2 versus the 38 and 11 Tiny. Sachka still continuing to do well with his farm. Though, the Storm Spirit is actually #1 on the net worth chart. He's doing very well up there. A lot of that comes from that Clockwork taking 2 spills already.
He's also leading the last hits, though. I mean, he's doing very, very well. He's getting exactly what he needs to in that safe lane, beating his safe lane counterpart on the other side by about 10 creeps, which isn't bad. Looks like he is going to be going for an Orchid. He's picked up 2 Robes of the Magi, so that's going to be his first pickup, and I do like that because you know they want him to... what they're probably going to want to do is as soon as he has his Orchid, they're just going to send this Storm Spirit off to be ganking the crap out of everyone, and then they'll rotate either Light of Heaven or Illidan up to the top lane to just farm that safely and try to get some recovery since those two haven't really been doing the best. Might have an engagement creeping up in the bottom lane, though. The wards do appear to scatter out from VP.
Oh, look at that Veno ward. Now Mag going to be in trouble as the Fissure comes out. Going to make for an easy Gale. Weaver going to go forward. God going to come in, and Avalanche did come out, but Sachka going to pay for it also. Going to be a 2-for-0 as Virtus Pro bring a big rotation down to the bottom lane. Bristleback the only one not with him. Fada will port down as well. Does have an Illusion Rune. Also does have an ultimate here. Important to note. Will start stacking up that insta-steal, and if they're not careful, Fada could end up doing a lot of damage here. That Weaver does not have much in the way of intellect right now, especially if he gets an Astral or 2 off. But Fada just going to soak up the farm. So Sigma will get slowed down a little bit here. Beat Virtus Pro with a sizable lead, about 1,500 gold, 1,500 experience. Any thoughts about this Midas first on Tiny? Do you like it here?
Well, Tiny is one of the heroes for whom attack speed is by far the most beneficial offensive stat. So whereas a lot of times you're talking about Midas, you're saying, oh, it's really, you know, the 30 attack speed is completely, just ignore that. It's not really that good of a thing. And sure, it's still not, like, for 2,000 gold, 30 attack speed is almost nothing. Oh, initiation, and on the mid lane, Smile gonna get hooked onto and very quickly burst. Not quite dead. There we go. Gets finished off, but God, coming in.
Uh-oh, Miguel in trouble. There's the Fissure. And I think he is going to fall here. God, going to walk away with a few hit points, but in comes Fada. And they're going to turn it around. That's going to be a 1-for-3. That served as really great bait. That Clockwork survived a lot longer than I thought he would. So those wand charges helping him out a bit. But well played by Fada for the cleanup. And he's going to get that valuable kill on the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, it gives him the gold for the mech, which is very, very significant. A nice 10.5-minute mech coming out for him.
Yeah, very solid.
His team is going to love that, especially because they know that this is about when the Storm Spirit is going to be starting to get aggressive. You can see him porting around, trying to pick up kills. And Fada, he may go down here, but at least he's already bought it. Oh, no!
Bristleback, he'll stand his ground. Now Sachka coming in. Can he connect with the Avalanche onto the Hasted Hero? He can, and that's a kill. Now they may move onward here. Astral going to come out onto Arzart, and yeah, that's going to be a dead Venomancer. A 2-for-0 to follow up that 3-for-1. Sigma all of a sudden with a huge burst of aggression. Look at that graph just up, up, and up. That is great news. Tiny now has himself a set of power treads and another 1,000 gold in the bank, so that is a multifaceted victory here. And of course, you mentioned that mech now complete. Absolutely great news for Sigma. Though down in the bottom, I caught the very, very tail end of it, of Wisp getting caught. He does fall. Probably a pretty easy kill, but Wisp close to level 6. Not quite there, but getting close. And that's when things will start to get a bit more scary. Tiny actually now level 9. He's leveling very effectively. In the mid, we're going to see another bit of initiation here. It is the Bristleback. There's the Frostbite. And Sachka will be there with the Avalanche. Enough for a kill. So Sigma going to add another one to the board. Kind of trading the Wisp for the Bristleback in a way across the map. But a nice Fissure going to block him in. Fada in kind of an odd position as God comes. Trying to line up the Echo Slam. It does come out. They secure that kill onto the Tiny as well as the CM. Defensive Astral comes out, buys him a little bit of time. They do finish off the Earthshaker. But now a 1-for-3 the other way. Very back and forth here in the mid game. Now Paz, almost in some trouble, does tether away to his buddy Miggle. But back and forth exchanges here in the mid. Look at that experience graph. It's just up and down and all over the place. Looks like the Loch Ness Monster.
I do think a back and forth, though, favors Sigma to an extent, because if you're going back and forth, if no one's able to really get a clear advantage, you're kind of jockeying for position, the game starts to drag on and on and on. And then when you do eventually hit the point where it's like, okay, any team can clear any tower, any racks in the space of just a few. Art again hooked in by Miguel. Is he going to be able to get this solo kill? There's a couple of creeps tanking up the battery assault damage. He might be able to not quite get him. God is going to come in to try and slow down Miguel. Smile's going to get away.
There's the mech.
Clutching it out. Oh no, Fada's here.
Oh no, Fada. He's going to have that Century's Eclipse in about 1 second. He doesn't even need it to finish off the Venomancer, but now he can throw it if he wants to finish off JOTM, and down he goes. Mad actually going to come in with the Crystal Nova to finish him off. Wow, great teamwork right there. I thought Miggle was certainly dead. Fada with pretty clutch timing, ports in, pops the mech, keeps his buddy alive, and they turn it around for a 2-for-0. So, and I do agree with you on the front that this back and forth exchanging in the mid is heavily favoring Sigma. Down here in the bottom, we'll see Sachka throw a rotation out onto the Weaver. And Weaver's showing us how weak he is right now. He didn't get a lot of farm. He's going this greedy build, no boots, Ring of Aquila into Ring of Health. So he's got rings all over those little fingers, but not too much HP to speak of.
Yeah, I just think if the back and forth takes forever and everyone gets really farmed, the Wisp Tiny is just an absolute terror. Because one pick off leads to a dead Rax against that combo. Yeah, it's just absolutely brutal.
Wisp is 6 now, so relocates on the field when Wisp really comes online. And Sachka.
He's playing pretty tight together, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just to try and deal with that. They're mostly smoked up. I think they want to bait onto Light of Heaven right now. They're just sitting smoked behind the tower. But at the same time, you have to note that the heroes that are showing are heroes that are very, very hard to pick off. It was Light of Heaven and Illidan showing. And so the Wisp Tiny combo, not able to just kind of grab them as easily as they might be able to pick off. You know, if they see this the Venomancer alone, he's just dead. If they see the Earthshaker alone, they can just pick him as well.
Yeah,
but
that's true. The Weaver is not one they're going to try and commit on too hard. Just because he's so snaky. He's a slippery bandit, that Weaver.
Them bugs, man. You can never deal with those damn infestations. Him and Nyx both.
Yeah. Nyx is truly a scarab. I don't know what Weaver's supposed to be. He's not really a spider. I call him a scarab, but people have flamed me for that as well.
He was back in the day.
He was a scarab?
He wasn't a scarab, but he was a Nerubian.
A Nerubian.
Back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know.
Same breed as a Nubricon, and that's the model that Nyx is based off of.
But yes.
Yeah, same species.
Same species, yes.
Yes, I see. So in the mid, they did try and attempt onto the Bristleback. He does survive, but up in the top lane, Sigma going to be able to take out that top tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom, there's the relocate. Hookshot going to be off the mark, but Venomancer still going to be in some trouble. Does throw the Gale, as well as the Poison Nova. Kamikaze Veno. I don't think it will result in any deaths here. Not quite potent enough. And oh, I was wrong. Look at me. The relocate. Back to Wisp. He did die to the poison.
I mean, it's a lot of freaking damage. The Wisp only has... Oh, God, I always hate how I still can't see health bars when they're dead. I want to be able to see that number. But anyway, I'll check when he comes back up. But he's under-itemed. He only has Tranquils and a Magic Wand, so he's not particularly tanky at the moment.
Gonna buy some time for his buddy to get there. God now out of mana. If Sasha can connect with a stun, I think God might be dead here. There's the avalanche, the toss. That's a dead Storm Spirit. Well played right there. Miggle is like the ultimate bait this game. This is at least the third time that he's been in a very sticky situation, walked away with just a couple of hit points to spare, maybe 10% or so, and the support comes in and they turn it around. A cheeky clockwork here in this match, but working well for Sigma.
So he's very good at baiting, is he? Is that what you're saying? Would you refer to him as a master of the craft?
He is a master of the craft, which is baiting. My friend had a boat called the Master Baiter, so I'm keen on that.
Was it a fishing boat?
It was a fishing boat. Oh yeah,
that's great. That's fantastic.
They had lots of bait on that boat, that's for sure, and they certainly mastered it. But, oh, Sanity's Eclipse in the bottom lane here. OD doing a lot of damage, also taking a lot of damage. Illidan and AA getting low on health. God gonna come in here. There's the toss. Avalanche. God gonna juke most of it. Now Fada, he's in trouble. Is he gonna be able to survive? No, he is gonna fall. Sort of an odd place. That Echo Slam gonna do a good bit of damage here, but it is gonna cost Jotum his life. Now God, the hook shot from close range. He is gonna fall. That tower also got taken out. It was denied by the Bristleback. But still, another convincing team fight. Wisp's going to get thrown forward. That's going to be a 3-for-1. Sure, they get the kill on the big OD, but Sigma obviously going to get the much better of that exchange, and they're going to press forward here. Pos needs to be a little careful. 5 health on this Wisp, but he dies to the poison sting. Poor little bugger. You should have hit him. Should have hit him with your tree.
From the wards.
Oh, you should have hit him with your tree there, Sachka. You could have denied him. Oh man. Well.
It's a pretty early tree, by the way.
Yeah.
Got it about 16 minutes after the Midas. So reasonably solid he's got going. You know, he's sitting 4-2 and 8 with almost 100 CS. Sashka getting the best of the farm at this point. You know, we were talking about how in the laning phase, he didn't seem to be getting quite as much as he could have. He has reversed that something fierce at this point.
Oh yeah, that net worth chart is getting scary. Tiny is not quite doubling the Storm Spirit, but he's pretty darn close. And he's just about doubling the Weaver as well, who's just slightly behind that Storm Spirit. And his farm just going to continue to increase now that he's uprooted that giant tree. It does make his farming a little bit more efficient. And we'll probably see that continue to grow. That compared with a Midas as well. Yeah, we can expect this Tiny's farm to continue to skyrocket here. Let's take a look at items, though. Any big item progression? God's still working on that Orchid, but he has been shut down here. A very, very late Orchid, 18 minutes in, and he's still not that close. He's actually got the recipe just waiting on a quarterstaff, unless it's sitting on the courier. It is not. So, close to the Orchid, but still not quite there.
Yeah, that's for someone who got that much farm priority. I mean, I think he started to be active before he actually had it, right? So he was figuring he was going to get, you know, a couple of easy kills, and that would help catapult him towards the Orchid, and then he'd be able to just snowball forward. And it's just not what happened. They countered a lot of his ganks very, very effectively. He would go in and die. He has 8 kills, but he's got the 4 deaths as well. So he's certainly been making things happen, but he hasn't been farming in order to... Oh, Wisp might be in trouble.
God gonna hop forward, but Tiny's gonna be here. In comes a Fissure. That's gonna be the end of the Wisp, but they'll at least make it a 1-for-1. Earthshaker gonna fall. Support to that bottom tier 1 tower. Sigma trying to make something else happen. Whoa, a long-range hook shot. Gonna connect with God. Cogs come out. He will be able to use the rest of his mana pool to hop to the low ground, and that will scare him back. I don't know that Sigma will be able to continue to pursue this, but a pretty good hold. At least the Wisp for Earthshaker at even exchange. And Tiny got the kill, so maybe even better for Sigma.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's necessarily better. I think it's pretty even, because God really needed that kill, and that actually picked him up his Orchid, so it spikes him a little bit. So I think they'll be reasonably happy with that exchange, because it'll let them hopefully get a little bit more done now that they have the Orchid on the Storm. But of course, you don't want to be giving more gold to a Tiny. I totally agree with you on that part.
Yeah, that's true. Getting the Orchid up is a big victory for Virtus Pro. Weaver still struggling here. Weaver with an interesting build. He actually went for a Midas.
Yeah, he went 15-minute Midas. I meant to comment on that, but it happened in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, I missed it. Wow. I did not see that coming. I mean, I guess it's another one of these situations where, sort of like Havost felt in the last game, they're far enough behind that they just need some kind of a recovery, given that Tiny already has a Midas. They need to do something, because just sitting back and farming isn't going to allow them to get back in this game. And I can empathize with that mindset, but I'm not so sure that Virtus Pro are far enough behind behind to warrant that pickup from Weaver. If he could have just got the Lincolns instead and then started moving towards a Desolator, I think there was a chance at recovery without the Midas. Now that's going to delay the Lincolns even further, and I worry that this Weaver isn't really going to come online until Tiny is already at that point of no return, where he's actually pretty close to the BKB, and that's a step in the direction to that point.
Yeah, because the only thing they have that's really stopping Tiny from going crazy is the Venomancer slow and the Storm Spirit control. I mean, of course, the Earthshaker Fisher can be pretty nasty. You can cut him off from places, but generally he's got enough reach with the tree to at least splash on some people on the other side of it. So unless you get like a perfect split where Tiny is on one side and the entire rest of the team fight is on the other, he's still going to be able to kill some people. He'll be able to get his tosses off, of course. He's got the reasonable spells. He can throw his stun from anywhere. So he'll still have some effectiveness. And unless the Venomancer slow lands before this BKB gets popped, Tiny is just going to run around and whack people so hard. It's
God, give me the ball lightning away. That hook shot going to be intercepted by the Earthshaker, so he will end up being the sacrificial lamb for the Storm Spirit down here in the bottom lane. Bristleback in a little bit of trouble. Freezing Field doing a lot of damage here, and now God, oh, that was an odds ball lightning. Now he's going to be out of mana, and he will just zip to his death. That was curious play coming out of God. Yes, questionable indeed. I don't know about that one.
Maybe he thought he had more mana available. I don't know. Or maybe he thought he had a little more regen, but he definitely overestimated how effective he was going to be when he got there. And maybe he just underestimated the size of the resistance he was going to meet. I think maybe he thought more people were hanging out in the jungle and didn't have vision until he'd already started the zip.
Yeah. And now we're getting closer to that point of no return here. The graph's still not that out of control, only about 7,500 on gold and experience, but just continuing to take convincing team fights. Sigma really in great shape. There's that BKB on Tiny. They'll finish off the tier 2 tower in the bottom lane, and they're just going to rotate down here. Looks like they may move into the Roche pit. We saw some pings come out. I think they might know that it's warded, and I think they're saying, well, let's just do it anyway here. They've got the courier on the high ground. He's going to buy a point booster for Miggle, and he's just going to take it back to the base. Now we'll see if Virtus Pro want to try and challenge this. It's going to be difficult, but it looks like they may want to do it. God,
he's just gone for the steal. He's using the flying vision to make sure he can see in.
Yep. Oh! The hook shot. God going to be in trouble. Out comes the Sanity's Eclipse. That's the dead Storm Spirit. Roshan still alive, very low, but Sigma, they are zoning it out, and it looks like Tiny will be able to finish off Roche once he's done getting bashed. And there it is. Roshan has fallen to the Radiant. He's just going to go the way of Tiny. Well played by Sigma there to keep the pit safe.
That courier vision, man. It gave them just what they needed to be able to get that hook shot up. And then, of course, Fada was right there with her ready to blow people up with that Sanity's Eclipse. What a nice little snag. As you could tell, I mean, God didn't care about fighting. That's not what they cared about. They're like, okay, we're not going to get the Roshan. Let's get that extra vision off of the Remnant. Let's just zip in, take it, and zip out. So we can at least control a little bit of the loss we're about to suffer. But no, just a little bit too far out. They got that extra vision with the courier. Good play.
Radiant's top tower is under
attack. Looks like we are going to have Sachka picking up a haste rune, roaming into the enemy jungle. He is alone, a little bit dangerous. JOTM may be the target he sees. No, he doesn't actually catch anyone, it appears. Illidan's just going to back off. He's going to come up here and farm this lane, perhaps. But trying to slow down this split push that Light of Heaven is committing up in the top lane. The rest of Sigma is gathered around in this middle lane, just pushing up.
Yep.
And you good?
Yep, I'm good. Sorry about that.
Cool.
Had to mute for a second,
problem.
but we're all clear. We're all clear. Thank you, my friend. So, yeah, oh, aggressive positioning here. Sasha going to go in the front lines. JOTM in big trouble. We'll get a fissure off before he falls, but that's going to be it. He'll go back to the grave to start off this this fight. Not really going to be much of a fight. Basically just going to be a dead Earthshaker and a dead tier 2 tower here in the mid lane. And Sigma, they may actually press on. Gold lead now over that 10K mark, somewhere about 12,000. And they're just going to start moving in on this tier 3 tower. No glyph available for Virtus Pro, and just look how fast Tiny cuts through these structures. Oh, it's just devastating. There's the sheep stick used on Weaver. Weaver going to fall to start off this fight here. He'll buy back straight away. Fada maybe needs to be a little bit careful. Will back out. Again, Tiny can afford to be in an aggressive position here. He did burn the BKB. Does now have a Hyper Stone to go with everything else. And, of course, still has that Aegis in the inventory. Oh, zip out from God. What? He's going to catch Fada, but it's going to cost him. Fada will be able to get the defensive Astral off. He'll survive. And now Light of Heaven going to be in some trouble here. Nope, he'll survive. Now Illidan coming in. Freezing Field going to get interrupted instantly by that Echo Slam. Still not looking so hot for Virtus Pro. They're continuing to lose their heroes here. And only going to pick up a kill on Defada. Triple kill coming out for Tiny. Weaver will be the lone defender here. And for how long? Not long. Ultra
Those spirits, man. If they hadn't hit him with the spirits, that toss wouldn't have been able to land. It was very, very nice reactions from Zaltzka to take advantage of it so quickly. Good game sense to know that the only way that we're going to get the kill on him was via that toss. And just well played all around. And now with the power of the Tiny Tree, this is a dead Rax, man. There's no way they're saving this.
No glyph either. They will come back pretty short here. Weaver the only one to burn their buyback. God does come in, but just gets obliterated.
What is he doing?
He's too under farmed to do that. You got an Orchid and an Ogre Club into a Tiny with an Ags, BKB, and Assault Kuros. You just can't do that and expect to live.
You know, and it's not even just that. It's the fact that you have the Tiny Stun, which gets you a little bit of setup. You have the Hookshot and the Cogs, which will, you know, interrupt when you're trying to zip back out. With the Cogs zip out, you have to basically time it properly so that you basically, he starts the zip right after the previous Cog, or excuse me, not the Cog, the Battery Assault. Right after the previous Battery Assault tick would have hit him. So you can get kind of stunned out of your first attempt at zipping out if you didn't time it properly on your first shot.
Right.
So there's a lot of time. Relatively speaking, with the amount of damage Tiny does and how fast he rips through people, they had ages to deal with that Storm Spirit.
I don't know. Tiny is just a machine now, though. He has 12, 2, and 11 on net worth. He's about to hit 20K, and leading farmer on the Dire is right around 8K, so more than doubling.
Oh, the sheep on OD.
And God in trouble. He is going to be able to zip out and survive this time. Illidan will go back in as the BKB is up. Sanity's Eclipse comes out, does a fair bit of damage. Will continue to zone out the heroes of Virtus Pro. Tiny still has this Aegis. Important to note following these team fights. He can basically just suicide for this tower. A glyph is going to be available now for Virtus Pro. They can use it at their leisure. And of course, mid lane is pushing into the base. So an assault on all fronts here from Virtus Pro.
It's looking pretty grim for Virtus
really
Pro,
is.
let's
That
be
gold
honest.
graph.
Yeah, over 15,000, but just the fact that the Tiny is just so devastating when you're trying to defend like this every couple of swings.
That craggy bastard.
Well, Light of Heaven just getting absolutely annihilated. So much damage coming out through that Hex. God is going to go in again. Is he going to get something this time, or is he just going to kind of run out of mana and die?
He's trying to pull him into the well, and no, not going to find it. Earthshaker going to buy back, but yeah, we're probably moments from a GG here. I think Sigma will just be able to finish the game at this rate. Illidan is going to come back up, but I mean, just look how fast they cut through the Bristleback. And Bristleback, he doesn't have a Vanguard. He does only have BKB, so not the tankiest presence for sure, but they're just
Shagbark, no?
just cutting through him.
All right. Ward almost killed Shagbark.
Wisp. Oh. So maybe going to farm the well a little bit here, but Sigma looking very, very good.
Yeah, it may be kind of bad manners to farm the well, but it's also kind of bad manners to not GG at some points. But at the same time, take out the second Rax, guys. Just do it.
They've got it. They're gonna do it. And yep, Glyph's still available at Virtus Pro. Not gonna burn it. I think they smart enough to recognize their state in this game. We'll see maybe one last hurrah here. God gonna hop out of the well. They are gonna try and pick on the Wisp. Oh, poor baby. He is gonna fall. But he does take Venomancer down with him. And Miggle, uh-oh, he's going to get taken out as well. The top lane of Rax did go down. He'll buy back straight away. And
Daedalus on Tiny.
uh-oh. Just needs a Mask of Madness for that last slot.
And big crits incoming. Yeah, just like that. Half of Bristleback's life bar? No problem.
The Bristleback. The Bristleback. Oh.
To be fair, he hit him in the front.
All right, that is to be fair. You're right. You did hit him in the front, but oh boy, this Tiny man.
He's pretty farmed. I mean, I still remember one of my the first games of Pro Dota I watched that I found really, really exciting was eHome with their ridiculously farmed Tiny at TI2. That was cash. I miss Wisp Tiny, man. I wish it was around more.
Yeah. It's still potent. Like I said, Fnatic did it just the other day, and I believe it did work for him. Just yesterday, actually, and I believe it worked for him. So, to be fair to Virtus Pro, this is their last match of the Starladder round robin. As we've mentioned a few times here, they are currently 9-7, and after this, this is their 17th game. So, yeah, let's let them have some fun. What are you gonna do?
Fair enough. Looks like we are just gonna continue this posturing. Despite the fact that Tiny could probably just kill their entire base in a split second. He's going Satanic, actually, not Mask of Madness.
YOLO Miggle here. He's going to hop forward. And, oh, it's just devastation. Tiny. You know, I was just watching the Neverending Story last night, and Tiny, when he's this big, reminds me so much of the Rock Biter in that opening scene when they first show Fantasia. So similar.
I love how he swings at Light of Heaven, just, you know, 2/3 of his life bar. Gone.
It's just, like, watching this makes me just want to queue up and play Tiny. He makes it look like so much fun.
How do you beat a rock, man? He's bigger than you.
He's so
He
craggy.
More solid than you. He is a giant rock hitting you with a giant tree.
Looks
Not
like
much
Velott's ready for
is
bed.
tougher than that.
Bomb bomb. I don't know what bomb bomb means, but I can only imagine.
means I am Velott.
How come Velott's name is in red?
I don't know. It's just spectator.
Is my name in red?
Mine was in red last time.
No, I'm orange.
It's just spectator colors.
But do I look red to you?
No.
Oh.
I think it depends on the game.
Oh, shit. Velot just has special colors because he's awesome.
Velott is super fancy. What can I say?
Bottom tower has fallen.
Look, man, when you cast that many games, you get special fancy colors.
You get
all right?
colors. I am digging on this HUD, though. I really like this Cyborg Matte HUD. This is actually my first HUD, so maybe I'm biased, but I really like it. It's quickly growing on me. It's very decorative.
Honestly, dude, I'm still running the MLG, the Columbus HUD, the Stronghold. I actually really like it.
Oh, yeah?
It's very reminiscent of a Warcraft 3 HUD.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tower has fallen.
And the throne's going to be exposed here, so just a matter of time.
Under attack.
Oh, a relocate into the well. Boom, boom, pow. That's a dead bristleback. And Arzart, JOTM. Sorry, buddy. Ultra kill. This Tiny is 25-2. Like, he's a machine.
Dire's Ancient is under
monster.
radiant victory.
And there goes.
Oh, boy.
That was a silly game.
Yeah. Well, it was not as silly in the laning phase, but...
It became rapidly more silly as we approached the end.
Oh, a sliding scale of silliness. But, guys, that wraps up our long day of coverage here. These back-to-back 7-match days. I'm going to pat myself on the back. It is tiresome. I'm feeling it. I'm excited to have a little Christmas break here, and I'm ready to be rejuvenated for day 24 of Starladder Season 8 round-robin coverage. We're getting close to the end, guys. Another great day of Dota, and when we come back, the coverage will resume. Of course, I am Zyori. With me today is Hippie, less Game 3, where Liquid Bulba did step in. Make sure you give us both some love on Twitter, at ZyoriTV and at HippieCasting. You'll find both of them in the title of the broadcast. Hippie, my friend, it is always a pleasure to have you on here, and we'll probably have you on in the future as Cinderin is on his holiday break, and I think Merlini will still be moving/vacationing himself. So we may be seeing more of you in the last few days of the round robin, but always a pleasure, and thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. You keep it fun.
Not a problem, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, guys, that's it for today. We'll see you on Friday. Have a Merry Christmas, and well, be safe.